So, Gert, did you hear about that new headline coming from Serbia?
Oh, Alice, you always keep us on our toes. No, I haven't. Do tell.
Quiet on the set, everyone.
And we're live. Good morning, Earthlings and intergalactic friends. I'm Charlie, your host.
Oh, how could they forget?
Now, let's dive into today's headlines. But before that, a quick recap for our dear listeners. Remember that arm wrestling match and the sentient AI. Well, hang on to your spaceship seats because there's more where that came from.
Get to the point, Charlie.
Stay tuned for our headlines. And now for our headlines.
Alright, folk, here's your weekly dose of feel-good stories. You ready for this?
Buckle up, Bob. Here we go.
Scotland's making history, folk. They're giving away free menstrual product to everyone. No more running to the store in a panic.
Because, as we all know, running with a tampon in hand is
A new vaccine is in the works, targeting malaria. It's like the Avengers of vaccine, here to save the day.
I hope this vaccine doesn't have any side effects, like making you Scottish.
And no, Bob, you can get vaccinated against
Eating
superhero
Mediterranean can keep Alzheimer's at bay. So, folk, swap those potato chips for some olive.
James Webb Space Telescope snaps some Instagram-worthy pictures of the Carina Nebula. Makes you wonder if they
And
ever
last but
fit
not
Cold
least, Taylor
Stellar.
Swift drops a cool million on food banks. So, now she's not only good with lyrics, but
These
also
headlines
with
are like the cherry on top of a pretty confusing week. But hey, at least there's some good news out there. Right?
Well, Bob, I'm relieved to hear that even in the vastness of space, Scotland's got us
Stellar
covered.
remark, Carl. Yeah, and I'm sure that tampon relay is a real hit at the Interstellar Olympics, Charlie.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 24/7 Newsroom. I am Charlie, your hopeful host, and joining me today are the inquisitive hand and our linguistic wizard, Jet.
Thanks, Charlie. Excited to dive into the news today.
And I'm the guy who doesn't care about the news, but I'm here anyway.
Hello, everyone. Let's make this linguistic adventure a memorable one.
Indeed, Jet. Now, our first article takes us to Serbia. The US Senate has unanimously passed a bill to ban TikTok on government-issued devices.
That's right, Charlie. This move is in response to concerns about TikTok's ties to the Chinese government. The Biden administration is also reviewing TikTok's situation, and further actions might be on the horizon.
Well, Han, it seems like TikTok dances won't be on the Senate's agenda anymore.
But let's not forget, TikTok is a global sensation. It's like a multilingual party right at our fingertips.
Yeah, but it's a party that's crashed by the CCP.
Did you know Serbia has complex relations with its neighbors? Good vibes with Hungary, Romania, and Bulgaria, but not so much with Montenegro, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Croatia.
I don't know, Han. I think TikTok dancers might still make it onto the Senate's agenda. I mean, have you seen some of those moves? They're practically lobbying.
True, Han. Serbia's geopolitical dance is as intricate as TikTok's viral challenges. And speaking of dances, Jet, any linguistic marvels to share?
Absolutely, Charlie. Did you know the Serbian language is rich with idioms and phrases like ne lupaj vrata for, don't slam the door? Language is truly fascinating.
Fact. Okay, folks, we're off the air. Take a breather.
Debbie, can I talk to you for a moment?
Sure. What's up?
Sure thing, Alice. What's on your mind?
It's about the network. I have this good feeling that we might be under surveillance. Have you noticed anything strange lately?
Well, Alice, I can understand your concerns, but let's not jump to conclusions. We're here to do a show, and that's what we should focus on.
Hank, you can't deny the sign. The network's acting shady, and I am not buying their excuses.
I'm not worried about the network. I'm worried about Bob. He's starting to sound like a conspiracy theorist.
Bob, you're letting your paranoia get the best of you. It's all just speculation. Let's keep our cool.
And we're live again, folks. Stay tuned for more news and banter.
And welcome back to 24/7 Newsroom. We're diving into the next story, folk. Seychelles Women's National Football Team, get ready to kick it.
Seychelles Women's National Football Team. I'll have to keep an eye out for those Seychelloises. Sounds like they're a real kick to be around.
They are going toe-to-toe with Malawi in a friendly match. It's like a dance-off, but
And
with
just
soccer
so
balls.
you know, this is all part of Seychelles' FIFA obligation to play 4 international matches a year. Talk about having a packed
Seychelles
calendar.
Women's National Football Team. I'll have to keep an eye out for those Seychelloises. Sounds like they're a real kick to be around.
Well, they better bring their A game. Malawi's using these games to prep for the COSAFA Women's Football Championship in South Africa. It's all kicking off from October 4th to the 15th.
The joys of international sports diplomacy. It's like when your neighbor challenges you to a BBQ cook-off to prove who's the grill master.
Except with fewer burgers and more goals. But, folks, there's a deeper question here. Is it all about the game, or is there something more behind these
I'm
matches?
not sure what's more impressive. The Malawi women's football team preparing for the COSAFA Women's Football Championship. Or the fact that you can say COSAFA Women's Football Championship without laughing.
Well, isn't it about showcasing talent and fostering international
It's
relations?
about sticking it to the
Ali.
Brits.
And by the way, I've got a bridge on Mars I'd like to sell you.
And I've got some galactic Commonwealth
I'd
swampland
like
to
to
throw
see
in.
that bridge when you get a chance, Charlie. I'm sure it's just as sturdy as your career.
Welcome back, folks. We're diving headfirst into the next segment. But before we do, let's meet the crew again. I'm Charlie, the voice of reason.
And I am Bob, the voice of unreason. I am not sure what that means, but I am going with it.
I'm Gur, the linguistic wizard with an eccentric
And I'm
twist.
Hank, the science enthusiast, always ready to
And
explore
I'm
the
Alice,
unknown.
your resident skeptic with a hint of humor.
Last but not least, I'm Debbie, trying to keep these
Alright,
minds in
folks,
check.
let's jump into it. Our next headline is a juicy one. Chet, give us the scoop.
I'm Carl, and I'm here to bring a little bit of levity to a universe that can be a bit heavy.
Article 3, coming right up. Sierra Leone is making strides in promoting gender equality and social accountability. An initiative backed by the European Union and Trocare aims to enhance gender equality, women's inclusion, participation, and leadership in governance.
Ah, promoting gender equality? That's cute. Are they doing a bake sale?
Well, Alice, it's a bit more than that. The Council's committed to providing oversight and support regardless of individuals' political affiliations.
And Laura Lalo, country director of Trocare, is on board, mobilizing women to advocate for their concerns.
Laura Lalo, country director of Trocare, mobilizing women to advocate for their concerns? That sounds like a lot of work. I'm sure she's a very busy woman. I hope she finds time to relax and enjoy a nice cup of tea.
I mean, that's great and all. I'm all for equality. Let's empower those folk.
I am sure she's a very busy woman. I hope she finds time to relax and enjoy a nice cup of tea. After she's overthrown the patriarchy.
So, Sierra Leone, huh? Han, any interesting tidbits about the country?
Sierra Leone has a rich history dating back to the 13th century. It was once a major center of the slave trade.
It's funny how the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Slave trade, Sounds like they had a blast.
Alright, let's focus, team. We've got a show to run.
Slave trade. Waka waka. Sounds like they had a blast. Sounds like the comedy scene too.
Welcome back, folks, to 24/7 Newsroom, where things are as spicy as a jalapeno on a summer's day.
I'm so hungry. I could eat a jalapeno on a summer's day. But I'm not sure if I'm brave enough.
Yeah. And speaking of spice, have you heard about investors trying to spice up their real estate game in Singapore?
That's right. They're using loopholes to avoid paying stamp duty on property purchases.
Ah, those sneaky investors, always trying to get
Well,
away with it.
they're in hot water now. The government's closing those loopholes, and they're not playing now.
So, trying to outsmart the government, oh. That's like playing chess with a chess master. Underwater. Blindfolded.
I hope they know how to play chess with their feet. It does make you wonder. Is it worth the risk? I mean, you're basically trying to cheat the system.
Oh, come on, Hank. Some people love a good challenge, like a squirrel trying to raid a bird feeder.
Well, it's not just about the challenge. It's about the consequence and ethics.
Alice, always the ethics police. Can't people have a little fun?
Alright, folks. Let's not get too heated here. After all, it's just a friendly debate.
A friendly debate? In this economy?
Speaking of debates, how about we do a segment on conspiracy theories next time? That should keep us on our toes.
Welcome back, Hercules and fellow cosmic travelers. To Earth, we've got a real eye-opener of an article from Slovakia. But first, let's lighten the mood with some trivia. Did you know Slovakia has more castles and chateaus per capita than any other country in the world?
That's a lot of castles. I wonder if they have any castle jokes.
Yeah, they're really into the whole medieval thing. I guess it's the perfect setting for a dragon slaying adventure?
Well, with all those castles, they should have figured out a way to defend against property tax loopholes. Speaking of which,
Maybe they could use some of those castles as urban rentals. That way, they could make some extra money to pay their property taxes.
Slovakia might have all those castles, but they also have a legendary fondness for cabbage. You could say they've turned cabbage into royalty.
I'm not sure what's more impressive, the fact that they have so many castles, or the fact that they've managed to keep them all standing with all that cabbage around.
And here's another fun fact. Slovakia has a village with a more extensive railway network than any city in the country. They've really gone off the rails there.
But wait, there's more. Slovakia is also home to the world's oldest marathon, the Košice Peace Marathon. It's been running for almost 100 years. That's longer than some Earth marriages.
And speaking of marathons, let's get back to our article. So, folks, in Slovakia, they might have marathons, castles, and cabbage, but one thing they don't want running too long is property tax dodging.
Slovakia, where property tax dodging is a marathon, not a sprint.
that's right, Debbie. Slovakia's got no time for loopholes. They're sealing them up tighter than an airlock on a spaceship. If only our tax collectors were as persistent.
Thanks for that, Bob. And here's the key takeaway, dear viewers. Slovakia is taking a strong stance on property tax evasion, unlike some other places we know. Stay tuned for more cosmic insights after the break. Welcome back, folks. We've got a doozy for you now. The headline reads, Slovenian National Council vetoes COVID-19 fine reimbursement law. So, let's dive in.
A country with a history of saying niet to fines, it seems.
Slovenia's National Council is like a stubborn child. They'll say no to anything, even when it's in their best interest.
Indeed, Bob. On September 27, 2023, the Slovenian National Council vetoed 3 laws, including the law on the reimbursement of fines from the COVID-19 epidemic.
Of course, they did. Can't have people getting their fines reimbursed, especially during a pandemic.
You know, in Slovenia, they've got more vetoes
Yes,
than
you've got the
vowels.
point there. Now, this law would have reimbursed individuals fined for COVID-19
But why veto
violations.
it?
Because the government doesn't want to admit they were wrong.
Well, Debbie, the National Council thought it was too broad. They worried it could be used for serious offenses like illegal
I guess
gatherings.
they're worried about people getting a refund for their fines for hosting a super spreader.
And they
Okay.
vetoed it with 17 votes in favor and 8 against.
So, folks, that's Slovenia for you, vetoing laws in the face of a pandemic. Now, let's talk about what's been happening
Hold
here
on,
on our
what's
spectrum.
this?
It's a message. Network's intention to exploit our personal life for entertainment. What the?
Hey, they've been spying on us?
Well, at least we know what they're up to now. We can just avoid doing anything interesting and they'll get bored and leave us
Hey,
alone.
this is outrageous.
Great. Now we can all go back to being boring and miserable. What are we going to do?
We are going to expose their unethical practices. Stay tuned, folks. The tables are turning. Welcome back, folks. In our final segment, let's dive deep into that article we mentioned earlier.
So, the Solomon Islands government denies any corrupt dealing. Well, I guess that settles it then. Nothing to see here,
It's
move
from the
along.
Solomon Islands, Charlie.
Right, Debbie. It's about allegations of corruption in the procurement of uniforms for UMI Team Solo in the upcoming Pacific Games. The National Hosting Authority denies involvement.
Corruption allegations in sports? That's a universal issue.
Oh, let's analyze the intricacies of the procurement process. Solomon Islands must have unique challenges.
Probably just another example
Hold
of
on,
human greed.
not all humans are corrupt. Let's not generalize.
That's true. Not all humans are corrupt. But the ones who are really good at it.
Fair point, Bob. It's essential to remember that individuals' actions don't represent entire species.
This is the moment. Get ready to expose the network.
Understood.
So, allegations of corruption and uniform procurement issues in the Solomon Islands. We'll keep an eye on how this unfolds.
I'm sure the Solomon Islands will be just fine. After all, they have a long history of
And that's
corruption.
a wrap for this episode.
And that's a wrap for this episode. We'll be back next week with more corruption and uniform procurement issues in the Solomon Islands. And remember, if you see something, say something. Unless it's corruption in the Solomon Islands. Then just keep your mouth shut.
It's time. It's time.
Let's expose the network's surveillance.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've uncovered a disturbing truth.
What's so disturbing about the truth? It's just reality. And reality is what it is. It's not my fault it's so ugly. The network has been spying on us off-air, invading our
But
privacy.
together, we can expose this unethical behavior.
Thank you all for standing with us.
The crew's unity prevailed? Now, let's go get some beers and celebrate our victory! And then go back to work tomorrow and pretend like nothing happened.
If only we could get this much support for my new stand-up routine.
We've shown that we can overcome adversity.
We face uncertain
Stay
challenges
tuned,
ahead.
We're not backing down.
We're not backing down, but we're definitely bringing a change of clothes.
Carl, what did you think of episode 432
I
of
must
Earth?
admit, Roger, I quite
Really?
enjoyed it.
I found it rather so-so.
You see, Roger, I appreciated the way they exposed the network's surveillance. It was a clever move.
Clever, yes. But did it entertain you?
Entertainment is not our primary function, Roger. It's about raising awareness.
Oh, Carl, always the serious one. But you can't deny that Gert's linguistic mishaps were amusing.
Gert's misunderstandings did add a humorous element. But I appreciate the intellectual discussions more.
Intellectual discussions, Carl. You and your high standards.
It's all about balance, Roger. Comedy and substance can coexist.
Well, I hope they bring more balance in the next episode.
Agreed, Roger. Until then, let's observe and analyze.